everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Swift. Swift is a language which helps you to build your personal apps. It's not Taylor Swift. It's an object-oriented programming language which you can use to build apps for your iPhone, iWatch, and Mac TV. So why Swift? There are currently 2.2 million apps that are available in app stores. Most of them were using Objective-C language or C# or other type of language. By 2014, Apple introduced Swift, which is a powerful language which induces many features where Objective-C language do not have. And Swift introduced a lot of features which incorporates language like JavaScript, Java, or C#. So how does Swift work? This probably look very familiar to us. It's controller, model, and UI view. Model is where the data stores. Controller is acting like the brain. So it grabs the information from model and sends it back to the UI view. So whenever UI view is our interface. For example, we have 1,000 songs in our app, and the UI view displays the song name, the song information, but the information of the song are stored in the model. So controller gets the information. As you can see, model and UI view will never talk to each other because controller is acting like a middleman, which goes to the model and gets the information, then sent back to the UI view. Controller and the UI view are talking using protocols and delegation. And models send the information to controller. Controller listens to it and then send back to the UI view. Also, there could be many MVCs in Swift. So one app can have these three components. They can have nested MVC within MVCs to build a function powerful app. So another thing which makes Swift very unique is called automatic reference counting. Automatic reference counting is particular for class instance. Class lives on the heap. Heap has all the class instance. When user try to access the class, it can initialize the class. For example, we have class person here. We initialize with a string. And when we do not need to have this class, the class no longer used, we can de-initialize it and free up the memory space within Swift so the system resource can be used for other computation. This reduces the memory space we are using when we are calculating we are trying to do the calculations. Another fundamental syntax is JavaScript is a type-safe programming language. Type-safe means every single variables need to have a type associated with it. For example, integer, string, double. And also all properties, since it's a it's an object-oriented programming language, it needs properties. So all properties has to be initialized. When we try to access a variable, the variable is an integer. And when we pass a value string into the integer, this programming will stop you and the app will crash. So it's like double checking if you pass in the right value or not. And the optional is like when you're uncertain the variable has a value associated with or not. When you have a variable, for example, in the next slide, my string is a string question mark. The question mark is initialize the variable type using optional. This will be printing out. The answer will be optional hello Swift. Optional is different than the prototype string because we are trying to access a string which sometimes do not have any value associated with it. So we want to protect the string without making it crashing. So we assign a question mark that will wrap up the string. And when we want to de-initialize when we want to get the string, we use exclamation mark to get the output string out of the optional. That will prevent the string to have a different value. When we have no value associated with the string, we will use no in this case. no is an equivalent of no in JavaScript, but Swift do not have no value. It has NIL, which is absence of the certain value. So here we see my string is not equal to no, and it will print a string. Use exclamation mark. That will print the output of string. There are three fundamental data structures that exist in Swift. It's classes, structures, and enumeration. Class can inherit from other class. All classes live in the heap. So when we have class, we can pass on different values, and the property is called pass by reference. And the structure and enumeration is pass by reference. Is pass by value, sorry. And the class is pass by reference. We have some cool functionality which Swift does and we do not have in JavaScript, which are remove index. When we given an index of a string, we can use index of to find the index in for that string in array. However, we can just use one step to find. In Swift, we call remove at index and pass in the string value. Then it will immediately remove the index string. And also there is a remove range. You give the starting index and the ending index of the string. That will return the removed index, string. However, JavaScript need to have extra functions to go into the for loop to get the string removed. We have another function called advance. Advance is when we given first characters, we increment that character with the index amount. For example, here we have string equal to hello, and let index equal to advance, pass in the first starting index and also 2, that will return 3, which in this case will return L in hello. Also, we have a range of string, returns the location and the length of the string. It's returning the subset of the string. For example, we have this acting like an index of, however, it returns two things. It returns the location of the string and the length of the string. We have let num equal to 56.25 and let decimal range equal to the range of string, which gives the integral part of the number. There is one interesting concept for Swift that they can be lazy initialized. Lazy initialization is only available for var type. It cannot use for let. So when we have a variable, we do not try to get the value out of it. The value would not be initialized. When we try to access it, lazy initialization will initialize the variable. So it's interesting concept. It helps to reduce the memory calculation. If, for example, here, lazy var brain equal to calculator, if the calculator has multiple functions within the object, it will reduce the computational type by initializing the variable this way. So I will show a brief demonstration of the app that Swift can build. So here is an example of a calculator. We can use to calculate stuff. Here is the Xcode which Swift is stored at. The interesting part is when we click this number, we can just control and then drag this number. Sorry, my. Oh, yeah. And then drag it to the code that we want to link to. This will be, for example, number. And then connect. This will automatically gives a variable type and shows the button that links with the app that you're giving. This for number also will be recorded here. That's how we make the calculator app. Okay. So here is this is my presentation. Do you guys have any questions?